Welcome to the Timescales Updates. I'm Grego, your host, and today I have a very special guest with me here. You may have seen an interview with us last week. This is just a supplement. Uh, this is writer, filmmaker, actor, and comics editor, the founder and president of Rebel Oasis Studios. Right here is Vaughn Coleman. Hi, Vaughn.
How's it going? Yeah, when you say it like that, it sounds very impressive.
It should be impressive because it is impressive. So, yeah. So, good morning from California, and how's it over there on the east side?
It's good. It's actually very nice weather today. Of course it is. Yesterday when I had more time to go outside, the weather wasn't
Right.
as nice. Now I granted I didn't take the time because I decided I would work and make sure I'm ready to promote and what have you. But now today, the day that I have to be mostly streaming, the day I have to be promoting is the day where it's nice. But luckily, um, I did make myself an excuse to go outside at least for a little bit. So
Okay. All right. Cool. You got a big day. I cannot believe how much streaming you're going to be doing today,
yeah.
and this is because of the fact that your comic Phenomenova #1 is closing out the fundraisers, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I wanted to at a certain point you got to just it's ready now. They want the printer numbers. That's it. Sending it off. If people want to get stuff after the fact, that's fine. That means so the variant covers will be very limited, and then the main cover too. I might make a cheaper version of the book later, but that's down the line. I'm gonna have extras of the main book to sell. So
Okay. Now I've got my order in. I almost called it a pre-order. I know that some
it
people that are
basically is. It
right.
basically is. It was already funded.
Okay. And folks that are watching or listening, this right here is going to be found on Fund My Comic
Yeah.
and on Indiegogo.
Although by the
And
time this video is up, those should be closed down. So just go to
okay,
rebeloasisstudios.com. That'll be my mailing. Right now, it's my mailing list, and then it'll be transformed into my website. But rebeloasisstudios.com is going to be the best place to go.
okay, cool. And I just got the notification myself that I'm on your mailing list now, so I'll
Okay. Oh,
stay
yeah, I
tuned to
added
that.
you.
And we'll put that link right down below. Everybody go over to Rebel Oasis Studios and sign up. Now, because of the fact that you're closing out your initial fundraisers, this doesn't mean that we can't order it anymore, right?
Right. No, it means that you won't get the special bonuses. There was trading. The people who sent me money before the book was even done, before no word of mouth or anything like that. Um, those people I felt deserved extra rewards. So they'll get trading cards, they'll get access to exclusive covers at a lower price. That's what they get. So you will be able to get the book on my website. There will be a digital version, but the people that backed early do get special rewards. But yeah, I wanted to make it where, yeah, you could buy it. I think it's people really shoot themselves in the foot when they make their books crowdfunding exclusives, and it's not easy because chances are your average person, I remember when I was first learning about crowdfunding books, I was like, oh, what? It's only available for a certain amount of time. I have to pay in advance and wait. Why would I do that? And then what would happen is once I see it on their website, I'd buy it and then I'd go, oh, well, now that I have to, they're funding the next one. Well, now I want it. So that's my goal is people don't know that they want it yet. And so I want to make it easy and accessible and sell it at conventions.
Okay. Now, Phenomenova #1, is it a standalone story to where somebody can just enjoy this singular book, or will it be a series, perhaps?
Both. So it is a series. It's definitely meant to be like almost like a pilot episode, if you will. It's issue one. I wanted to make it a longer issue so that way you could get to a certain story point and feel satisfied, but you will want more. Um,
Okay. Okay, cool. All
but
right, now,
yeah, the story arc is not complete though. Yeah. Uh,
okay. And how long have you been working on this?
Actively in production, I'd say about well over a year, almost two, over a year. But yeah, I officially hired my artists July last year.
Okay.
So, but this idea I've had since I was in second grade.
Okay. Very good.
So, long time coming.
Yep, no doubt. Well, congratulations. That
Thank you.
is totally awesome. And after we did the interview last week, realized that in my condensed format, I forgot to ask you something really important, which I usually do ask people. Um, there seems to be a trend in what I have learned with this interview series of interviewing people that are successful and upcoming in arts and performing arts, yourself included, of course. I've found that oddly, a lot of people that love art also love music. And that's something that I skipped asking you. And sure enough, watching you on a live stream here in the last couple of days, I discovered that you are a major music fan.
See, I don't know if I'd say
With
major, but I guess
major,
I just went to a Live in Stone Temple Pilots costume concert, so I'm still riding that high.
okay,
Uh,
awesome. So, do you have a favorite genre that you listen to?
uh, I'd say alternative.
Alternative? Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
like my favorite band is Foo Fighters, although I haven't been listening to them a ton lately. I've been listening to honestly Live might be my favorite though because of the concert. I've been listening especially to Live and STP. Although Soul Asylum opened up the show, which is surprising, so I should be listening to more of them.
okay. And I guess you like the song Lightning Crashes by Live.
Adore it to the point
Yeah.
where I almost named issue one Lightning Crashes. I listened to it quite a lot when I was writing it. And I would say that the song is actually thematically kind of similar. Phenomenova is about, I mean, that song is there's an old woman who dies in the hospital, and then down the hall, a baby is born. It's like the cycle of life. And Phenomenova is kind of similar, not just in the nature of the book, but within the story itself, and on multiple levels, really is about that cycle of life that life lives on. The book is about legacy in a lot of ways, in that it is carrying on that heroic spirit, whether it be me carrying on from the masters that came before me, or whether it be my main character, Miles Hinksley Galvanite. If you look at it, he's in a makeshift costume in issue one, right? He's not there yet, but he's trying to carry on the legacy of the brave superheroes that fought during World War III. Um, and he's also trying to carry on his father's legacy, which is what I'm doing as well. And so I
Hmm.
felt like Lightning Crashes really lent itself to that. And so I did consider naming the book Lightning Crashes, but I ultimately stuck with Lightning Strikes.
Okay, cool. All right, for people that have not heard this song, it would be surprising. Almost everyone on Earth has probably heard it. It's called Lightning Crashes by Live, and we're going to put a link to it down below. That song, I had not heard it for a while, and after I ran into you on a live stream talking about that, I went and put that song
Put
on
that
last
song
night.
on.
Yeah, yeah. And matter of fact, I even licensed it to make a cover because there is a company in New York City where you can license mainstream music ridiculously cheap, and you can make your own cover. So it's a legit way of going about it. So all right, now speaking of your dedication, for people watching this, the next topic right here is something I consider to be sensitive. I don't know how Vaughn feels about it at all, but I
Mhm.
did ask his permission in advance to
Yeah.
ask him this question. And Vaughn, I can tell you my little story first, or we can just open it up.
Whatever you want to do, it's your show. I'll go
Okay.
along with it.
Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you my story first. Then on September 11th. Um, September 11th of 2001 is a date that everyone on Earth knows of, and it was something that I would have to admit being a bit traumatic to me, even though I didn't know anybody involved in these events on September 11th. Didn't know anybody personally, never expected to run across somebody in my life directly related to these events. But I think the reason that it impacted me hard was that I had just been to the World Trade Center. Not once, but twice, and very recently. A friend of mine, his father was a director for the FBI, and I went to New York City with him. I had never met his dad or anything like that, and I wasn't really particularly interested in what his dad did for a living. But I remember one story he told me. We were in the Windows on the World restaurant on the 107th floor of the World Trade Center, and he said, "Greg, you know that these buildings right here are a terrorist target?" Now, I already knew it
Wow.
because there had been something that had happened in the basement couple years before or
Hmm.
something. There's news on that. I'm not
Right.
terribly familiar with that, but when we were in the buildings, I remember him telling me that. And Windows on the World restaurant is where I discovered that I have a fear of heights, because even though those buildings were designed to have a somewhat narrow window where you didn't feel scared of heights, I remember looking out at the other tower, and those buildings used to move. They would move back and forth up to several feet or more, I believe. And when I realized that the other building was moving, I got weak-kneed and I kind of passed out a little bit. And then some people they had to help me up. So it was because of those buildings that it made me learn that I was afraid of heights. Okay. Now, that being said, I got back home and was talking to a friend of mine about what we had done in the World Trade Center, gone to Windows on the World. And she said, "Oh, I have always wanted to do that." She was a fan of architecture. And she said, "Oh, I've always wanted to do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's really cool. Why don't we go next weekend?" And she's like, "Yeah, all right, I'm down for it." So we flew back to New York City the following weekend and went there again and ate at Windows on the World again. So when the news came on the morning of September 11th, I was asleep. However, my roommate was a police officer. He was an accident investigator, and he came and he knocked on the door, woke me up. He goes, "Man, you better get up and turn on the TV. There's some stuff going down." And I'm like, "What?" Okay, so I went and turned on the TV, and the first tower had already been hit, and you could see smoke. And I thought it was just an accident. Okay, and then the second plane. All right, and my friend that I had just gone there with was in a skyscraper in our downtown, and she called me and said, "Are you watching the news? Look what happened." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's hard to believe." And then later there were the collapses, and we talked again, and we didn't have any relationships with actual people. So it was something that touched home with us without it being something of a grief factor. It was horrific. I don't think there's really words that can describe, but what we had stayed at the seventh floor suite at the Marriott World Trade Center, and that I don't know if they had a suite on every floor, but it was the corner of the building. And what would happen at night is the wind would flow in between those two towers, and because of how they were situated and shaped, it would make this odd howling sound,
Mhm.
which it wasn't really loud enough to prevent you from sleeping, but it was a strange howling sound. And I remember we said, "You know what? We're going to have to get this room again. This is pretty cool." And then she called me and said, it looks like our hotel room is gone also." And I'm like, "What?" Okay, so that is my story, Vaughn. That's why it was deeply impacted me, because I'd just been there.
Just been there, right?
Yeah, I could still smell the
Yep.
curtains in our room. I still remember the
Were you staying
doorknob.
at the North or South Tower?
I wish I could remember. It's whichever one the Marriott was
I
connected
didn't
to.
see. I didn't know that there
Yeah,
was
there
that
was a
connection.
Marriott. Yeah, there was a Marriott, and I still remember the employees at Windows on the World. And but your situation is quite a bit different. And as us being Americans, I'm sure every American has a little bit of a different experience. But after we did the interview, and this right here is a lesson to people that do interviews, make sure you know who you're interviewing
Mhm.
first. Do your
It
prep.
happens.
Yeah, because after we finished that interview, I went in basically to place my order on your page, and I read your dedication, and I was like, "Wait a second. What?
Hmm.
No way."
Hmm.
So if you would like to fill us
Yeah.
in on your dedication,
Yeah.
um, feel free.
Absolutely.
Feel free.
So yeah, my book, I mentioned the idea of legacy, and that came to me when I was writing because, and to tie it into my book, I it was twofold, right? It was I I I had felt like my story was missing something. And I'd also said I want to do the definitive, like my definitive love letter to superheroes. I really want to double down on what I love about the genre. And I was like, well, why does it mean so much to me personally? And so I thought about it, and I thought about, well, what was it like when I first got into superheroes? And I had lost when I was little. My dad and my uncle were killed in 9/11, and I remember really had this angry cry for justice and this need of a father figure and this need for an escapism and this need for idealism and all of that and justice. And then I watched shows like Justice League, and it's like it gave me everything I needed. And what I liked about my favorite characters is that they would usually lose a loved one, often a father figure, and they would carry their legacy on, carry that pain to make the world a better place so someone else didn't have to go through that. You know, Batman did that. Uncle Ben, I think that's part of why I had a kinship with Spider-Man, especially early on, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, which is a big influence on my comic. Is because he did that, and my character in my comic was already based on me fairly heavily, and I had kind of just had the father figure be absent. And I said, well, if we're gonna do that, let's dig down to the core and really get into that. And so I decided to base one of the characters off of my father. I decided, well, this is already set 20 years after World War III. Let's make him a veteran. Let's make him a badass. My dad loved action movies. He would have appreciated that. And I said, let's dedicate the book to him. Let's make it about legacy. Let's make that the core of the character. And suddenly the story became better, because it turns out when you rip your heart out and you let it bleed onto the page, you create good stuff. I think. And so that's really what it came down to. And I decided the first page of the book, when you open it up, is going to be a dedication to my dad. I want his face to be, I want to. I think everyone really wants to be immortalized, right? Ultimately, in a sense, when you're creating art, and I figured my father deserves to be too. So he will always, every time someone is picking up the series Phenomenova, they will see his face and they'll remember him. And that was the point that I wanted to do.
Okay, awesome. All right, Vaughn, thank you very much. And I am going to let you go on to the rest of your super busy day.
Okay,
And
thank you so much.
yeah, thanks for meeting with me again. And
Of course,
back to music real quick.
of course.
Do you listen
Love
to
music.
music when you're writing?
Sometimes I have to just turn it off and quiet my mind because it keeps going up. But then sometimes I remember there was a screenplay I was writing. It was a slasher movie, and I'll tell you, I pulled an all-nighter and I listened to "Don't Fear the Reaper" over and
There we
over
go.
and over and over and over again for probably hours straight, and I'm not sick of the song. It's a good song. That might be in my top 10 actually. No, top 5, top 10. Don't Fear the Reaper.
Okay, I had a friend that actually practiced with Blue Oyster Cult before they were called
Wow.
yeah, a drummer, and before they were Blue Oyster Cult. I believe they were called Soft White Underbelly or something like that. But
That's
okay,
incredible.
yeah, it's interesting to ask creatives if they're able to listen to music when they write. Some
Yes.
can, some can't, and I found it very common that people can listen to instrumental music while they're writing, but
Often,
not,
yeah.
yeah, but not with lyrics.
I
But
find that's often like I'll listen to video game music. The music I listen to when I write is weird. It's not often my favorite music, even. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But yeah, especially if I'm writing like a depressing scene and listening to something. If I'm listening to something too exciting, I'm like, okay, I'm not writing an action scene. People are talking. Chill out. So it depends. But listening to music is a big influence, I would say, actually. Probably like a subconscious one more than a conscious one, but it is one.
okay. All right. Hey, have an awesome day. And
Thank you. Well,
thanks for meeting me with this
thank
for
you
this
for,
little supplement
of
right
course.
here.
Thank you for
And
having me on.
yes, sir. And tell us once again, what are we going to get when we order Phenomenova?
Well, so this is going to be uploaded on the 10th, right?
Yes. Uh-huh. I'm
Okay,
going to upload
so
this on the 10th.
sign up for the mailing list, you'll be notified. When you order Phenomenova, you will get a 68-page book, 20 pages of story. I'm not 20 pages, God, $20 for the book. Sorry. 65 pages
60.
story, 68 pages total. That is what you will get when you buy the book on my website, Rebel Oasis Studios. It'll be shipped to you. And yeah, that's it. Just a pretty cool comic book. And I'll tell you what, issue 2 is like halfway through production. In fact, right before this interview, I was checking my messages. The colorist sent me some stuff. So issue 2 is already in the pipeline. Issue 1 is dedicated to my father. Issue 2 is dedicated to my uncle Scott. So, um,
Okay.
so
Okay. Awesome. All right. Hey, congratulations and
thank you.
um all of the best to you on this big day with massive amounts of streaming and promotion. And I'll try to run around on the internet and follow you around and see what you're up to throughout
All
the
right,
day.
sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Take care, Vaughn.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. Have a wonderful day.
I will. Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.